The Tomahawk 2023 fall ride is behind us, and here is a little of the adventure myself and Chinadoll took through the Northwoods of Upper Wisconsin and the U.P of Michigan. It was a fantastic weekend of riding and adventure. On the ride, we were on the 98 Electra Glide Evo Power, baby. When a biker thinks of freedom, the Tomahawk fall ride is something that should come to mind. Riding through the Northwoods in Upper Wisconsin gave us as a rider everything we wanted when it came to a true riding experience. This was the second time that Chinadoll and myself went to the Tomahawk ride. The reason for our return was because of the miles and miles of open road that affords anyone that goes to this ride a true motorcycle experience. Being from Chicago, or any inner city for that matter, your eyes are open to what the sport of motorcycling is truly about. Freedom, peace, and tranquility without all the noise in the background. The Tomahawk Fall ride for us started on a Thursday. We wanted to make sure to get up there to the event early. We decided to rough it. Camping at a primitive site in the Northwoods, there is something about camping when no electricity is available, and the campground is mostly empty after Labor Day weekend. The ride to the rally was 4 hours north of us. Chinadoll followed in the car so she could haul up all the camping equipment. I rode with a couple of buddies, stopping a few times for that cigarette break. Come on, we all need that. And we stopped for some lunch as well. We were taking our time getting up there and enjoying the ride. Something many people miss is the actual ride to the destination. Mainly because they're too busy hauling ass to get where they want to go. Not me. I like taking in the whole experience. We stopped in Porsche for some burgers at A&W, and then in Wausau. After Wausau, we headed up to the Tomahawk and then eventually to the campground. One thing I can caution you, don't ever let Chinadoll's GPS try to lead you anywhere in the Northwoods. The damn GPS had us running in circles in the Northwoods. I think the broad on the GPS was high as hell because that GPS got us nowhere. When we finally figured out where the hell we were, we finally pulled up to the campground and started to set up camp. Let's just say Hollywood stayed out of the way when the tent started going up. Chinadoll and myself don't do good together setting anything up. It usually turns into a brawl of words. One thing about the Northwoods, some advice actually, you don't want to be out riding after dark. It's pitch black. No lights whatsoever. Hell, daymakers wouldn't even be able to cut through the darkness. The biggest reason you don't want to be out riding after dark is the animals. Deer are everywhere, and they don't care about jumping out in front of you. It happened to me twice. Bambi had no care in the world. Other animals you're going to find up in the Northwoods are foxes, bears, yes, bears, eagles, hawks, and a ton more. We actually had a hawk flying with us as we were going to the campground the first day. We saw a huge eagle on the return to the campground on the third day. The second day up in Tomahawk was a wet one. Trust me, a wet one. But this is something you're going to have to expect going to this rally. The weather is always up in the air. We all mostly sat around the campground. Chinadoll and myself ventured into the woods in the morning, and that evening when it finally stopped raining, we headed out to Tomahawk for a ride. Chinadoll was itching to ride, so I got her on the back of the Electra Glide and headed out. That ride was cold and wet. It was so bad, both our helmets wouldn't stop fogging up and we both gave up on them. We had the gaiters on, but by that time we were already frozen. I took her on about a 71-mile ride in that cold-ass weather and went back to the campground. You can bet I got a fire going right away. The next morning, though, was beautiful. Sunny, temperature was decent. We were heading up to Ashland right by Lake Superior. This ride would be about a 200-mile one going through the heart of the Northwoods. We took 51 north to Route 2. The small towns we went through were unbelievable. You could really tell they had a lot of history to them. This trip through the Northwoods had to be my favorite. These roads and scenery were something you've seen on TV. Everything in those woods were untouched, completely wild. And again, if you want peace and quiet, this is the stretch of the Northwoods you want to travel. It was actually funny. Going up to the Ashland, you have to ride through an Indian reservation. First thing I told Chinadoll was I'm screwed if they stop me. Anyone who listens to my show knows how much I pick on Indians. I could just imagine getting stopped going through that reservation and the dude listens to my show. I bet the conversation would go something like this. Oh, Hollywood. Funny man who likes making fun of us Indians. How are you doing now, funny man? I bet that's what would have happened too. Well, after sweating it out going through that reservation, we ended up in Ashland on Lake Superior. It's a mid-sized town with everything you would want. We stopped, had some lunch, and headed back to the campground. That night, really bad. It was in the 40s and it was freezing. I was freezing my Davy Crockett ass off. Hell, I even cheated and went and turned the car on. Yes, I turned the car on because it was that cold, man. I'm a city boy. I'm not used to that crap, sleeping in a tent and freezing to death. It was time to pack up and head home in that cold-ass weather. I threw on layers and layers of clothes, leathers, chaps, and we headed out. Once we got back to Wausau, though, it finally warmed up, so the ride was a lot more enjoyable. I set the cruise control at 75 and was back at the house that afternoon. Yes, Tomahawk is Chinadoll's and my yearly outing. You can't get any better than rides in the Northwoods. Combine it with some camping and you got a perfect weekend. Next year, though, my punk ass is going to make Chinadoll haul a pop-up camper. My damn bones are getting too old to be playing around in a tent freezing to death. Now, I know why guys like bringing campers to an event. Screw all the cold and sleeping on the ground. I did my time with that kind of stuff and had nothing to prove anymore to anyone. It's going to be about comfort from now on with me. Hopefully, you enjoyed the ride through the Northwoods with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. If you would like to make a donation to the channel, you can by using Cash App at $ Motorcycle Madhouse. Your donations really help more than you know. Rock on.